Good afternoon, everybody. This is meteorologist John Choquette here with Hail Trace, and we're going to be presenting our fall hail forecast for the entire country, and we're also going to zoom in a little bit on Oklahoma for the rest of September, October, and going into your November. Currently, the past few weeks, actually, a good chunk of September, there's been warm air in place over a good part of the eastern two-thirds of the country, and the jet stream is way off to our north. This is great for really nice weather for a good chunk of the month that we've had so far for lots of parts of the country, but it's terrible for severe weather. It really hasn't been much in the way of storms other than a few isolated storms in rural areas of Nebraska. Otherwise, it's been a quiet September, but that is likely to change moving into October. The jet stream will kick in to off from the Rockies and into the upper Midwest and bring in some cool air. And with that, the cool air and the warm air will clash, and we'll have a nice little battleground for a good chunk of the Midwest. Possibility for some storms is there. I'm not saying we're going to have anything like we have in the spring, but there's the potential for a small outbreak or two during the fall months for parts of the Midwest and going into the Southeast much later in the fall as temperatures cool off and the jet stream pushes further and further south. Now we're going to look at the number of hail reports that we typically see in the fall in the United States. I have from 2008 to last year, 2014, to get an idea of what our average is. It does fluctuate quite a bit. It usually only takes one good outbreak to up these numbers a lot. But you can see basically it is much less than what you get even for just the very active month of May, and this is from September through November. And I also added 1991, 1997, and 2002. You may be wondering why I added those 3 years. Well, currently we are in a strong El Nino, and the I added in the years for analog purposes that it was also a strong El Nino in the fall, 91, 97, 2002. And looking overall, it seems like it's going to be a below average year. So what does that mean for the whole country? Well, I brought up looks like going to be below average storms for Texas, Oklahoma, a good chunk of Missouri, Arkansas, and the Great Lakes region. The Northeast, you're pretty much done with severe weather for the year. The only real good storm you had this year was in Boston at the beginning of August anyway. Now, interestingly enough, for the southeast, this is most likely closer October, November. You could see a near average amount of storms. Now, it's not exactly a lot of storms, but it's near average numbers for that area. And for places like Alabama and Georgia and Mississippi and Tennessee, you haven't really seen much activity this year anyway, so anything is better than nothing. And for the upper Midwest, near average storms, it's usually pretty quiet there this time of year anyway. And by about the second half of October, it's really going to start getting cold. So places like Minneapolis are going to be done. The Front Range region, it says near average, which is a little deceiving only because around average for the Denver area is maybe like 5, 6, 7 reports between September and November. You usually get like one storm, and that's really about it. Now we'll go into more details with some bullet points here. We have a strong El Nino in place, like I said. So it's a severe weather season, usually going to be below average for the United States during the fall. It will be wetter, and as we move into more winter, the winter time, it will be pretty wet, especially in California and along the south. Best chance to have a near average hail season is going to be in the northern plains going into October. Now, looking for the rest of September, it looks very quiet. We had, as of recording this, at about 1:30 Central Time on Tuesday, there's one storm well north of Omaha, Nebraska, and that's really about it. It seems to be pretty quiet for the rest of September, but the first half of October, there is that potential for a couple storms to happen in the northern plains. Southeast could also see some activity second half of fall, closer to November, as the jet stream pushes further south and you get a better shot at getting some storms down there. I can't exactly give any specifics. This is a pretty far reaching forecast. Just give a general idea. We may see some storms actually occur in the southeast come the second half of the fall season. Now, zooming a little bit just to Oklahoma, it looks like things are going to be pretty quiet here. Looking at the stats the past few years, it ranges pretty heavily between either we get some storms or like in 2013, there was pretty much nothing. But looking at 91, 97, 2004, it looks to be below average. It looks to be pretty quiet here for Oklahoma. For the forecast overall, Oklahoma and the rest of the Southern Plains looks to have a pretty below average fall hail season. I wouldn't be surprised if we got only one event that happens some point in the month of October, and that's your best chance of getting some hail here in Oklahoma and Texas and Kansas and stuff like that. Numbers can very easily change though. If we get one good setup, it could be only one event, but we could get a lot of hail out of that. And of course, it always location, location, location is always what matters the most. If you get one good storm to go over Oklahoma City, like what happened in December of last year, then that can completely change the outlook of everything. I hope you enjoyed our forecasts. Unfortunately, we weren't able to use the green screen today due to some technical difficulties. But I thank you for watching. If you have any more questions, email us at info@hailtrace.com. Check out our Facebook page. Just search Hailtrace. Check out our Twitter. And if you want, you can also call us at 1-855-334-HAIL.